YouTube, what's up? We back, man. Welcome back to the channel. Got another review for y'all today on a very dope figure, man. This is the Shocker figure from the Spider-Man Retro Wave. This is like the newest Shocker figure that Hasbro has released. Super excited. Got to me about like 2 weeks ago. Really excited to have this figure, man. I've wanted a Shocker figure for a long time, and none of the past ones were really doing it for me. I know Toy Biz had like that old one back in the day that design wise looked really good. It had a lot of like great sculpt work, great shading. But it had a gimmick, and you guys know I'm not the biggest fan of gimmicks. Even though that was kind of like a cool gimmick for that one, I will admit it had like basically like a little wind up thing in his back that you would kind of like twist, and then he would kind of like vibrate, to kind of simulate the whole vibration thing, obviously with Shocker. But he didn't have like any torso articulation, which wasn't the worst thing in the world because I mean, like sculpt wise, he was still really good. But I don't know, I just never really, I guess, had an urge to pick that one up. And then Hasbro released the one on the Bucky cap mold, however many years ago. I don't think it's been too long, but a few years back they released one on the Bucky cap body, which has, if you're a collector of like Hasbro Marvel Legends, the Bucky cap mold has been like used time and time again. It's really overused at this point, so I'm glad that we finally got a new sculpt with this guy. All new sculpt, brand new. He looks fantastic, very comic accurate as far as like his proportions and everything. I mean, you can see him from the side. I think anatomically he just looks really great. He's got some muscle on him. He's not like the biggest guy in the world, but he's definitely got some meat on him, right? So that's what's up, man. I really just love the look of this guy. He stands at just under 6.5 inches tall. I measured him before the review, so yeah, he's like just under the 6.5 inch mark, but he should fit in great with your other 1/12 scale collectibles. So yeah, man, he comes on the retro card. Let me just slide him out the way really quick. Here's the card, by the way, in case you're wondering what it looks like. I tried to keep it, as good looking as possible, so I took scissors and just kind of like basically cut the bottom perimeter of the plastic. I didn't even have to like cut around the whole thing. I just kind of, slipped it in right here and just went around kind of to this side. And then I was able to easily just slip the tray out of there and, pull Shocker out. So the card is nice and intact. You see we got a nice picture of, Shocker, comic Shocker on the side. Spider-Man Retro Wave card. So we got that nice animated series Spider-Man logo at the top there. That looks really great. Very nostalgic. Giving me those 90s Spider-Man vibes, so I love that. And yeah, man, here's a look at the back. I'll back it up. It's a pretty big card, but it looks really good. Gives a quick read up on Shocker. If you want to read it, go ahead and pause it right now. And of course, we get a look at the other figures in the wave. We got the Spider-Man Armor Mark 1, which I really want to get. I'm excited to pick that figure up. We got Hammerhead, Black Suit Spider-Man, Hobgoblin, and Ben Reilly Spider-Man. So I think I'm gonna end up picking up most of those figures. I have mixed feelings about this symbiote one. I feel like I might not get that one, but and I'll explain about that probably in another video. But yeah, let's look at the card. So yeah, if you're gonna, if you want to keep the card, I suggest you do something kind of like what I did with just kind of cutting around the bottom edges of the perimeter of the package, kind of keep that plastic nice and intact with the card, or maybe like a knife or something. But obviously be very careful when doing that. You want to always use safety when you're using sharp objects. But it's a really cool card, so I definitely suggest that you try to keep it intact. Younger me would have tore that card up, man. Would have been looking horrible. But as an adult, I have an appreciation for those things. But anyways, here is Shocker, man. And before we take another a dive deeper look into him, we will look at his accessories, of course. So we've got his, what is this on my finger? Something black on my finger. We have alternate hands that he comes with that look really good. Shout out to Hasbro for the paint work and overall sculpt on these. This is the first time we get alternate hands with a Shocker figure, so I really like that. We always see him with like closed fists because obviously he's doing the Shocker pose, but It's nice to see him with like open hands, kind of looking like he's gonna get ready. Before he like balls a fist, kind of have like the open hands. Really nice paint work on there. The brown paint, the silver paint for the gauntlets, very, very nicely done. I like the color of the silver. It's really nice. Got a nice like sheen to it. That metallic sheen, and then the nice brown gloves. Very, very good looking. So we get one for each, one for each hand or each arm to interchange. And then we get these effects pieces, which I'm not too crazy about, to be honest with you guys. They're like these kind of like, they look lighter on camera. In person, they're actually a little bit darker, but they're like basically these light to dark orange pieces that honestly kind of look like magic effects. Like they look like they belong a little more with like a Doctor Strange figure or something like that. But you can see they have like this little round part that's supposed to like clip onto his fist, and I guess kind of emulate like him about to make a shockwave. I don't really feel like they look like a shockwave, to be honest with you guys, but Hasbro has used these effects, time and time again, and they seem to like them. I'm not a big fan of them. I think I would have much rather preferred we got something like, maybe like a funnel shaped shockwave type of thing, like a clear shockwave effect, where like maybe the start of it kind of has like a small circular opening, and then it like gradually gets bigger or something. I don't know. I imagine like SH Figure Arts or Mayfix would have given us much better effects pieces for, this type of figure, but obviously this is a Marvel Legend, so we get what we get, but at least he comes with, extra accessories, so that's always good. But anyways, here's a look at Shocker himself. And he looks awesome, man. He is such a dope figure. This is literally the Shocker figure I've been waiting on for so long, man. I just wasn't really impressed with that previous release by Hasbro on the Bucky Cap mold. I mean, it looked good. It had like, overall like the pretty like classic look that we're used to. The brown on him was a little bit darker, but he had like a weird expression going on with his eyes. Like one of his eyes was like way smaller than the other. I guess like they were trying to make him seem like he was like squinting or something with one eye, but it just looked kind of weird. That old one did have the lines painted for the quilt pattern on him, which this one does not. So I guess that might be like a nicer thing to some people. Me personally, I don't even think they necessarily needed to fill in the lines like super dark, like black, like they did with the old one on this one, since like the lines are actually sculpted into this one. I think that a light wash would have actually made him look a lot better in my opinion. I know a lot of people have customized him and like used like a micron pen or whatever and tried to and basically filled in the lines, and he looks pretty good, but I think a wash would look even better, because I think it would kind of like, the paint would kind of dry and like seep into those lines and kind of bring out the details. And then it also would have helped with like the detail on like, his muscles and stuff, like for the arms and the legs. I think it would have kind of like brought the details in those out a little more, added like some good shading to the figure, kind of like the McFarlane SpiderMan. But I'm thinking about doing that too. If I do that, I'll probably make a future video on it, so you guys can see what that looks like. But as he is, I think he still looks really, really good. So yeah, here's a look at the back of him. And you can just tell like the sculpt is pretty good overall. It's a pretty nice sculpt. See the muscles on him, the gauntlets, the paint on the boots and everything. It's solid, man. He's a pretty solid figure overall. I like him. This is the look that I've always wanted for a Shocker figure. And I'm really, really happy that we get, alternate hands and all that jazz. So let's run through articulation, shall we? So for articulation, we've got a ball hinge shoulder, which can lift up about that far without like really forcing it. So like pretty much straight out to the side, pretty much like a perfect horizontal. That's really good. I like that. And it can go nice and down by its sides. And notice like his stature, man. I think they did a really good job with like the stature, like where his arms fall, like to his body, and how they kind of like curve in, Like Anthony's Customs did a review on this guy recently, and if you guys watch his channel, he's very big on like anatomy. And you know, he's complained about other figures that Hasbro makes having their arms be in like awkward positions or like bending out to the side from like not only Marvel Legends but even like SH Figure Arts. So I really like that Hasbro has like a nice natural look for the arms, like how they fall to his size and they kind of like curve in. Like it just looks great. And his arms don't look too long or too short, so I really like where they fall and everything. It just looks really good. But anyways, we got a bicep swivel as well, right here in the upper arm. Really good. Sorry, try to get that in frame for you guys. Nice bicep swivel. That looks really good. Functions well, pretty smooth. We got a double jointed elbow. So look at that. Nice bend at that elbow. We get better than 90 degrees, so that's pretty good. And it actually looks pretty good, you know, visually from the side. Doesn't look, it's not like an ugly cut for the joint. It's pretty smooth, so I like that. That looks really good. We get full rotation in the arms, so we get a full 360 out of that. Got some windmill action for the arms, that's good. His torso joint extends back about that far, and the paint is actually pretty good. Like it's painted all the way through, it extends. So I really like that, the sculpt and everything, even for the brown part of the vest, and then, you know, the quilt pattern. My bad. But yeah, the what do you call it? The ab crunch. So that looks pretty good. And this is how far he can go back. You can see it from the side. Going forward, that's really good. Look at that. He gets some really good crunch forward and back. That's pretty nice. I like that a whole lot. Plenty of range there. And then let's see, for the head, we can look up. I think it's on like a nice ball and hinge joint, so we can look up about that far, which is really good, basically all the way up, and it still looks really good. No, as Anthony's Customs, he likes to call it a lollipop when there's like a big gap between the neck and the head when you look up and stuff or down. So we don't have any of that going on, which is really good. And then he can look down pretty far as well, like tuck his chin in all the way, so that's really good. And I like that they even got like the little scope for his ears on the side. If you can see that scope for the ear, that's really nice. That's a great detail. I like that they paid attention to that, so it actually looks like there's somebody, you know, in a mask under there. So that's really cool. I think the paint for the eyes looks great too. Came out very clean, if you guys can see that. See how the eyes are like nicely, evenly proportioned, the black paint going around the eyes and everything. Very clean, solid. You can see like the top of his head, the brown part, pretty good. Got like a little bit of like a little scuff or something over here with the paint on the side, that kind of shiny part on his head, but that's not too bad. Looking pretty good, man. And then for the legs, we can kick up pretty far, like that. So like basically 90 degrees going straight out. That's really good. And then kicking back, decent, you know. It's actually better than a lot of the figures that we've been getting from Hasbro, so that's all right. Going back, not too bad. How about out to the side? Out to the side, not too bad. Not quite straight, but not quite like 90 degrees, but still pretty good. Get it down by its side. We get a nice thigh swivel. So you can see that. Get a good thigh swivel in there. So that's pretty good, and it's nice and clean with the sculpt. Doesn't break up the sculpt too much. We get double jointed knees. Let's see how those bend. Oh yeah, I like that. That's great. So you can basically kick like, he can bend all the way back, bring his foot basically like to like where his belt is in the back. That's really good. Bring that back down. Nice double jointed knees. We get boot swivel just below the metal piece right here for the boots. We got some boot swivel down here. I'll show you on this side since it's not really showing in the frame on the other side. But yeah, we get some nice boot swivel. You can see that. Nice boot rotation. And then we can kick. He's got a hinge in the foot, so we can kick down pretty much all the way down. Can kick up about that much. Kick the feet up. So that's pretty good. And then let's see, do we get ankle rocker? Yes, we do. It's a very angled ankle rocker, but works like a charm. Functions very well. You can see that. Plenty of rotation. So that's awesome. That's pretty good, man. I like that. For shocker, I think that's plenty of range. And I think, is there, oh yeah, there's also a waist swivel. Let me not forget that. There is a waist swivel. So there's a cut below his belt. So you get some waist swivel out of that. And it'll look a little weird depending on what position you have him in, because like the belt will stick out, past his waist. But I mean, it's I still think it looks really good. I mean, that's not really a problem for me. So nice swivel action in the waist, so that's really good. So yeah, man, overall this figure is pretty freaking good. There are like a little bit of like paint imperfections, I would say, in certain places, like right here in the kind of like the ab crunch section. The paint gets a little bit, I don't know, like darker or maybe lighter. No, probably like darker. Yeah, I would say. I don't know if they maybe like layered the paint right there. Like maybe it was brown. I'm not sure what color they had it molded in, but it could be that they just needed like an extra coat of paint right there. Also on the knees, you can kind of tell, like on the joints, you can clearly see in the camera, like there's like a lighter, kind of like a lighter or shade of yellow going on right there on the knees compared to like the rest of the legs. But it's not too bad, Same thing kind of with the elbows. You can see that right there on the elbow. But it's not too bad. And overall, the details on them look pretty freaking good. Like, see the quilt pattern and everything. That's pretty solid. So I like that a lot. This shocker figure is awesome, man. Like, I've always wanted. This is literally the shocker figure I've dreamed of. And when I first heard that when they first announced that they were going to release this guy this year, I was super excited. I was like, yeah, that guy I'm getting for sure. Because I've always needed a shocker figure, so that's pretty good. I was really happy to pick this guy up. Couldn't wait. Found him on eBay. I think I got him for about like 26, so that's a pretty good price. They did kind of like hike up their prices a little bit. Usually they're like in the 20. They used to be in the $20 range. They're more like in the $25 range more commonly now. So I mean that's okay with me. I just I would hope that if they're gonna make the price go up, I think that means that as consumers we need to be able to get more out of the figure. If we're gonna pay more, we should get more. So I think that as long as the quality's there and the accessories are really good or appropriate and not something like sorry. Get it standing again. Sorry, y'all. Okay, there we go. Yeah, as long as we don't get something like this, which is I feel like isn't too appropriate for a shocker figure. Like this doesn't really do much for me, but maybe you guys feel differently. But as long as we get good accessories, good paint work, good articulation, a little hike in the price, I guess isn't too bad. I mean, $5, that's kind of a big jump, but it is what it is. But we get some. I think it's worth it for this guy because, again, I've been waiting on this guy for a long time. He's solid, the paintwork and everything, the boots. There's even like texture in the boots. I don't know if you guys could see that. I showed the boots like pretty quick here, but there's actually like some texturing in the boots. Like they actually have like kind of like a rough like leather looking texture to them. So that looks really awesome. Like you can see it right there. Like the line work and everything, it's kind of got like a rough texture if you run your finger across it. So that's pretty awesome. I like that a whole lot. Yeah, man, I'm impressed. I like this shocker figure a whole bunch, man. Herman Schultz, that's the original shocker from the comics. And then there was another one that I recently found out, and it's, I think, something I found interesting was that in Homecoming, how they had like the two shockers, even though he wasn't like around, either one wasn't around very long. I wish they would have kind of, really had Shocker be like a main villain for one of the, new Spider-Man movies. But there was Herman Schultz, and then there was this other guy, Bryce, or was his name Bryce something? I forget. I have to look it up again. But there was another guy in the comics that took the identity of Shocker at some point, and that was the guy that they had in Homecoming. And then they also had him in Spectacular Spider-Man. His AKA, his alias was Montana. So, so yeah, I really liked Shocker in the Spectacular Spider-Man. I thought it was like a weird. At first, it was kind of weird to me because like when they called him Montana, I was like, and he had like the accent and everything. I forget where he's from, but probably Montana. But but seeing that for the first time as when I was watching Spectacular Spider-Man, I was like, what? I was like, what happened to Herman Schultz? But I think they pulled off the character pretty well for that show, man. If they ever bring back Spectacular Spider-Man, man, that'll be a happy day for me, man. That's one of my all-time favorite Spider-Man, animated series. Like it's goated, bro. It's definitely up there with like the '90s series and the new animated series. But anyways, I'm talking too much. Let's get some size comparisons so you can see what he looks like. So here's how he sizes up next to another pretty big character. We have him next to the Netflix Luke Cage figure. I gotta kind of squeeze these guys in here. All right, here we go. So you can see they're standing pretty good. Luke Cage is just slightly taller than Shocker, but that's a pretty good size up. You can see that they both got some muscle on them. So I wanted to see how they look together. This is like a bigger guy, so that's how he stacks up with him. And here he is next to the Marvel Legends retro Peter Parker with his camera ready to shoot some action. I got the half Spidey head on him, but there's how they stack up together. I think they look pretty good. Looks like they're standing at just about the same height. I'd say Peter's head is just slightly taller than Shocker, but that looks pretty good. Let's get him next to another classic Spider-Man villain. We've got Vulture. This is the old Toy Biz Vulture from the 6-pack. It's like a Spider-Man 6-pack. It came with like Vulture and a bunch of other villains. I think Carnage was in there, Lizard, some other people, but there's how he looks with them. And I really, really like how these two look together. I think this guy could definitely fit in with like your old Toy Biz figures if you never had a Shocker. I think he blends in nicely, especially if you throw a nice wash on him. But you can just see like the wash right here on the Vulture's wings. If they had done something like that, maybe not even like quite as dark, just like a light one through like Shocker's quill pattern, I think that would have like brought out the details so much more. Could have like really, really brought him out. Because one thing that I noticed even before that I did the review, I kind of like stacked him up against other figures just to see how he would like look on a shelf. And I think that some of the details just kind of get lost from a distance because they didn't like fill in the lines or like throw in like a light wash. So I feel like he kind of like loses some of his detail from a distance. So I think a wash would definitely help with this guy. Probably gonna add that very, very soon. Here's how he looks with the McFarlane SpiderMan. He stacks up really nice with this guy, by the way. McFarlane SpiderMan is just like slightly taller than him, but overall they stack up very nicely. I like how these two look together. So that's awesome. See the shading on the Spider-Man? See how good it looks? See how it like brings out the details? If they had done that on this guy, man, new level. And then we'll look at him next to a Mattel figure. So you can see how he looks with a different company figure. This Batman is like a little bit smaller in scale. So remember the Mattel figures are usually like a little bit smaller than Marvel Legends. They're more true to 1/12 scale. But that's how he looks. So yeah, Shocker's a little bit bigger than him, both in size and height. But just to give you a sense of what those two look like. And last but not least, we'll look at the recently reviewed Iron Man Mark V. One of my favorite new figures. And here's how they look together. So I think that looks pretty good. Shocker's a big guy, These were from like the Iron Man 2 line before the actual like Marvel Legends, so they're a little bit smaller, but they are made by Hasbro, so you can kind of like squeeze them into your collection, but that's how they look together. So there it is, guys. Final verdict, final thoughts on this guy. He's awesome, man. I definitely would say pick him up. He is an awesome figure. Like, this is what I've been wanting from Hasbro for a minute. This Shocker figure, I think they definitely delivered on it. It does have like a few paint imperfections and things here and there, but overall I think he's really good. Obviously I wish we would have gotten like a little bit better effects pieces, but I can live with what we got. I like that they also painted the hinge for the shoulders here brown, so that it kind of like blends in with the you know, the scope for the brown, you know, stripe going down his arms. I like that a lot. I like that attention to detail. But yeah, man, solid figure. If I had to give it a rating out of 10, I'd probably give it. Now, let me just mention that Anthony's Customs gave this guy a 9 out of 10, which is pretty amazing, bro, because he rarely, I can't remember the last time he gave a figure a 9 out of 10. I feel like, especially with Marvel Legends, they usually average out to like a 7 for him. But he gave this guy a 9 because I knew he was going to be impressed by the sculpt work. As soon as I saw him, I was like, yeah, he's going to like this guy a lot more just because of that sculpt. But I'd probably give him like a final rating of like, yeah, I'd probably say like a 9.2. I think the only things that really retract from him are these freaking orange, bubbly, weird effects pieces or whatever, because they don't really, you know, remind me of like a shockwave or anything like that. And then just, you know, the lack of like a wash on him. I think a wash would have helped really bring him out. So, but for Hasbro, I'd say this is a pretty solid figure, man. So yeah, I think I would give him like a 9 out of 10, to be completely honest with you. And I'm not just saying that because Anthony's Custom said it. Like, I really would, I think, give this guy like a nice, solid 9 out of 10. But yeah, that's it for the review, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Hey, man, let me know if you're rocking with me. If you're really rocking with the channel, do me a favor. And in the comments down below, comment K-Tag. Capital K-T-A-G. That stands for keep the action going. Because that's what we do over here, right? All my figure collectors and like lovers out there, this is what we do. So, you know, if you're rocking with the channel, if you've, you know, been watching for a minute now, or even if you're new, if this is like the first video you ever watched, please comment down below, capital K-T-A-G, hashtag K-Tag. Keep the action going. That's what we do over here, y'all. But yeah, that's it. So this is your boy Bio. Appreciate y'all for watching. I will see you in the next video. Take care of yourselves and be good. Peace out, y'all. Bye.